Hey everyone, it's the Ioniq guy. Just this past week, all three companies, Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, released their newest version of their infotainment software with map updates. So today I'm going to show you everything that's new, and there's some good stuff in here. It's not groundbreaking, but there are some good changes that will make long distance travel just a little bit easier. So if you want to see me demonstrate the changes on my Ioniq 5, then stay tuned. And I completely forgot to mention in the car, if you want this update, you have two options. You can either wait for it to come over the air to your car. You will get a notification on the infotainment screen saying an update's ready. Do you want to download and install it? And you can just hit yes. But that could take a month, 2 months. People are seeing these updates at totally random times. So if you want it immediately and you really need these navigation changes, I made a video showing how you can download the software and install this onto a USB drive that you can then pop into the car in the front USB port under the dashboard. I'll have a link to that in the description. Hyundai also just put out a very good walkthrough of how to manually install an update. I'll leave a link to that below as well. But all in all, it's a pretty easy task. I did it the other day with the USB drive. It took about an hour. And you can still drive the car while that's happening. It's just not going to allow you to use the infotainment screen or any audio. So let's start with something completely new. If you go to Setup, Vehicle, you go to Convenience, Trailer Checklist is now an option down here at the bottom. You click on that, and if you're new to towing, this walks you through all the steps you need to take when you're connecting a trailer to the car. So just checking if the ball mount is installed correctly. Did you connect the trailer tongue to the trailer tow hitch correctly and latch everything? Plug in your lights, and check the brakes on your trailer. This is a nice little checklist. If you don't tow very often, you might forget one of these things. Now, the next thing is going to be for radio stations. So if you're listening to the radio and say you want to go from 102.9 The Whale to 99.1 real quick, you can start typing the numbers in and just go there directly. So if you know the station number, you don't have to tune through them with the button down below, or you don't have to go dragging through the list of presets. You'll also find under Sounds of Nature that there are some new sounds. You get Autumn Sentiments, A Summer Night's Rest, like being in a little beach resort. I don't know how many of you actually use this feature, but Hyundai seems all in on providing sounds of nature. Something else you're going to find with this update is they've completely changed the calibration curve for audio levels. So previously in my car, I had to crank the volume up pretty high to get it to a level where I enjoyed listening to things. With this new calibration curve, you can keep the audio down at like 9, 10, 11, and that is just plenty loud. So they've definitely dialed up the sound level in the car quite a bit. Now, another change they made in this update is to the split screen. So you can see here in split screen now, you have a specific screen that features a bunch of charging information. So you'll see the nearest charger, you'll see favorites if you have a list of favorite chargers that you can quickly access, and on the nearby station screen, your current range, your current battery percentage, what the nearest station is for you, as well as the status of the DC charger. You'll see that it says it's in use, says somebody has been there for an hour and 6 minutes. Maybe that's what that means. Not really sure what those two numbers are actually equating to. And if you click the More button, it will give you some options to navigate to the nearest EV charger, which is also nice. And for some reason, if you're not seeing all the chargers that you think you should, if you click up here on this button, that's Filter, you can choose what networks you would like to show. So if I change to all, you're gonna see a lot more show up. And this is gonna have to do with navigation as well. So we'll get back to that in a bit. So scrolling one slide up, you will see a new electricity use screen that is nice to have, because you previously couldn't see your electricity use unless you went to the specific EV screen in the car. Which is buried all the way in here under energy information. So it takes a little bit to get to this screen, but with here in the split screen now, you can see what's going to the drivetrain, climate control, lights, and this one's probably battery management for cooling or heating the battery pack. Now from the home screen, you'll also find a new button here called Hyundai Pay, which if it were working in my car, I'd be able to show you, but it's not. A lot of people are saying they're seeing this message, so something seems to be up on the server side of things, that it's just not functioning properly. I'm not going to waste my time calling them because I don't really care that much about it. But more or less, you can purchase parking passes for garages, street parking, I guess, directly from the screen here. Now, I personally don't find that very useful. I don't know why you would want to use that. And if I am in a garage, I'm usually just using a credit card or an app on my phone, which is just as easy. You can park and then walk away while you're setting up your payment in the app. But if this ever gets working, I will show you guys how it works. All right, so now let's talk about routing for long distance travel. Now, if you remember from the May software update, it would add charging stops to your route, but it was doing a really poor job at selecting which ones to use, and it also wasn't telling you what state of charge you would arrive with and how long you would need to charge before you proceed to your next charging stop. But they've completely overhauled that. It's much better here. So if we go and navigate to Richmond, Virginia, like I always do, we'll hit route. Battery capacity may be insufficient. Would you like to add EV charging stops? Yes. Okay, there you can see it planned 4 charging stops for me. I'm currently at a fairly low state of charge of 38%, so it's telling me to charge pretty close to home, which is this lower one, Manchester, Connecticut, go from 35 to 80%. So it does think that I will take 3% to get to the Walmart in Manchester, which sounds pretty accurate. And you can see right here, go from 35 to 80%, and that will take 19 minutes. The next stop in Secaucus, New Jersey, that will also be a EA station, going from 27 to 80% in 20 minutes, and so on and so forth. Now you'll see this one up here, Tower Shopping Center. If I click on that, this is an EV Go station. Now for most of us with Ioniq 5 and Genesis GV60, we're still within the 3 years of free DC fast charging on Electrify America. So let's say you want to get rid of this and not stop at an EV Go station. You're going to have to go into Nav, nearby point of interest, and close that, EV charging stations. And this is where you're going to filter what you would prefer the car to do. So like I showed before, if you go up onto this little button, you can see I have only high-powered stations selected. So they're considering anything over 150 kilowatts high power, which for our car is pretty true. Even on a 150 station, this car can still pull upwards of 180, 190 kilowatts. So going out of your way and waiting any longer for a 350 just doesn't make sense. Use the nearest 150 if you're driving on a road trip. But let's just change this from all operators to only Electrify America. We'll go back into Nav, previous destinations, Richmond, Virginia, and we'll see what it does. All right, scrolling through these charging stations, they are all now Electrify America. So you can see every charging stop is between 16 and 21 minutes, which is awesome. And you can also see what chargers are available at any given station. So it says right now the 350s are all occupied, and there's one 150 available at the EA in Manchester. If we go to the Wawa store, I've been to this one in Newcastle. It says 0 of 5 350s are available and 0 150s are available. So yeah, it looks like the stations are pretty bogged down today. Now it's important to use the built-in navigation system because you are going to get battery preconditioning on your route. So the battery will get warmed up before you arrive so you can charge as fast as possible. And you can see that right now because my car is currently preconditioning the battery. You can tell by the little snowflake right here. It's warming up the battery. It's currently 52 degrees out, so the battery is a little chilly for DC fast charging. So it is taking that into account while you are using the built-in navigation system, which if you're using Google Maps or Waze on Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, it's not going to do that. In fact, it will cancel this out if you pull up Google Maps or Waze via CarPlay or Android Auto, and then you will get no battery conditioning. So if you're on a journey, you need to use this. Now let's do another destination. Let's try a little bit longer of a journey. So it also gives you this message that available charging stations will be updated while driving. So it's only projecting 4 charging stops out, but apparently as long as this is activated, it will continuously add more charging stops to your journey. So you can see here, Walmart in Manchester again. This one must be Newburgh, New York, Scranton, PA, another EA, and Bloomsburg, PA. So yeah, it's using strictly Electrify America, which is nice that you can select that now. But I still have a complaint here, and that's the fact that I don't want to show up to a DC fast charger with 32% state of charge. I want to roll in with 5, maybe 4%. That's just me. I like to live on the edge, I guess. I know this car is capable of going about 10 miles past 0% state of charge, so I really want to push it down low. This is just too many charging stops, in my opinion. Now, it is only charging to 80% on all of these stops, and that's because if I go into my EV settings, I currently have DC fast charging to stop at 80%. Now let's say I change that to 90%. We'll see what happens. So you're seeing it added a little bit of time to our charging stops, about 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. But God, this one, you're stopping at 42% state of charge. I do not want to stop at such a high state of charge. This one you're rolling in with 18%, so it's capable of allowing you to show up with less than 20%. I don't know if that's just the nature of this route. Let's add some other networks and see what it does. So we'll add all of the options in this list, all high powered. We'll see what happens. Same Walmarts. What is this one? Another Electrify America. They're still all Electrify America, and that just might be the nature of this route. It might just be there are no other options. Let's try a different destination. The 95 corridor should have plenty of charging options outside of EA. Okay, so they're all high-powered. Is this one EA at 150? Yep, they're all EA. So it definitely seems to be preferring EA, which is good. I just wish that there was a setting that I could change to adjust the low state of charge that I'm pulling into stations with. So maybe a long distance trip is in my future because I would love to test this out and share that experience with you guys. If any of you have navigated on a journey with this system, leave a comment down below and let us know how it went. Now under setup, if you go to navigation and guidance, you also find a new setting in here called compare routes. Now this will allow the car to reroute you based on traffic conditions while you are driving. So kind of cool that they added that because it brings it more in line with Google Maps or Waze on Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So I would tick that on and just leave that on. I'm not sure if it will prompt you if you want to take the new route or if it will automatically reroute you, but it's nice that it's actually taking traffic into consideration now. So what do you guys think? Good update, bad update, kind of mediocre update? I am pretty excited about the changes to the route planner. Granted, I don't do that many road trips in my car, but just knowing that it's there in case I do makes it a lot easier to just get in the car and just go for a drive, not have to pre-plan very much. It's gotten better since the first software update, so as long as they iterate on it and make it better, I'm pretty happy with it. If you guys haven't already seen, I do have some new products in my store as well for Ioniq 6 and GV60 owners. I have cup holder enlargers for both the Ioniq 6 and the Genesis GV60. I also have a eyewear holder for the Ioniq 6 that mounts on the center console. I also have the charging light indicator cover for the Genesis GV60 that you just pop onto the little arm for the charge port door, and it blocks the LEDs that might attract unwanted attention if you're charging in a public space at night. If any of those are of interest to you, check out my store, ioniqguy.com, or check out my Etsy store if you are outside of the United States. But if you guys liked today's video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.